Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good. Good morning, and thank you for attending my class, Social Linguistics Perspective. And today, I plan to record this kind of meetings using this Google Meet. And after this, I would like to upload this video to my personal YouTube. So I do hope all of you will be an active participants during my teaching and learning process. So today we are going to talk about discourse analysis in the reality and the applied linguistic, something like how do we analyze a text, how do we analyze a speech, how do we analyze newspapers, how do we analyze a sign, and so on and so on by using this kind of discourse analysis. All right. And the things that you have to know is that when we talk about the discourse analysis, it looks like something like broad, something like wide, and you can do everything with this kind of discourse analysis. Okay, so talking about the data actually can be various. Okay, so if you're interested in having your future research in Quran, in text, in some other data, actually you may use this discourse analysis as your approach or as your methodology. So I'm going to share. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everyone, today we are talking about again this kind of discourse analysis, and actually I do believe all of you already know who is Bush president. So he was the president of US. All right, and we are talking about what is actually the inside meaning or the high meanings of the Bush speech. So it will be very interesting for us. Okay, the discourse analysis consisted in every speech, in every text, in every kind of media, in every kind of data that we are going to explore. Okay, so in this process, actually, I do not need to choose or to point one of you, but the things that I hope is you may you may say your name and you just read what I'm going to ask you to read. Okay, so again, the title is Discourse Analysis of the President Bush Speech, and it was the president of US at the time. Okay, then we are going to know what is actually the discourse meaning delivered by George W. Bush speech whenever he was the president of the US. Okay, then as the introductions, anyone? Anyone? Read this text. Anyone?
Saya, sir.
Okay, Laila.
Introduction. U.S. President George W. Bush visited China in 2002 and gave a speech at Tsinghua University, which is one of the universities with the highest of academic reputation in China. This is the third time that a U.S. president has given a speech at a university campus during a visit to China since the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and the United States in 1972. The main purpose of Bush's speech was to convey American values, U.S. policies, and China's future.
Okay, thank you, Laila. Your reading is nice. Your pronunciation is also nice. Okay, so here is the introduction that we are going to talk about in the further explanations. U.S. President W. Bush visited China in 22 and gave a speech at Tsinghua University. So Tsinghua University is the most popular university in China. Okay, which is one of the universities with the highest of academic reputations in China. In Indonesia, it looks like UGM or it looks like Undip and so on. This is the third time that the US president has given a speech at the university campus during a visit to China since the establishment of the diplomatic relations between China and the United States in 1972. The main purpose of the Bush speech was to convey American values, right? American values, nilai-nilai Amerika, US policies, kebijakan-kebijakan, and China's futures. So, of course, the president has something like NIAT, something like goals, aims. Why George W. Bush need to come to China and why the president need to give the speech in university? Alright, pasti ada tujuan lah ya. Okay. Then the second intro, please. Anyone? Anyone?
Saya, sir.
Okay, Putu.
Okay. Some people view this presidential speech in such an overseas setting as a diplomatic trick. Others thought that such face-to-face communication make the concept of speaking common ground while reserving difference. As China has advocated, more realistic and explicit regardless of particular motivations in varied contexts. Politicians and political institutions are sustained by persuasive or manipulative use of language. Chilton and Schaffner, 1997. In respect to the different response to Bush speech, no matter if the audience are Chinese people or American people, there is no doubt that Bush speech at Tsinghua University had special meaning.
Okay, so thank you Putu. Bagus nih, cara bacamu bagus. Okay. Some people view this presidential speech in such an overseas setting a diplomatic tricks. Banyak orang politisi menganggap dia sebagai, setting diplomatic trick diplomatic. Others thought that such a face-to-face communications make the concept of seeking common ground while reserving difference, as China has advocated more realistic and explicit. Regardless of particular motivation in various contexts, politicians and political institutions are sustained by persuasive or manipulative uses of the language. Okay. In respect to the different responses to Bush speech, no matter if the audiences are Chinese people or American people, there is no doubt that Bush speech at Tsinghua University had special meaning. So we all together will think that seorang presiden give speech in university, apalagi di China University, of course he brings the intentions, right? He brings the goals. Like Obama speech, giving speech in University of UI, alright, the Indonesia University. Okay, like our president Jokowi gives speech in Undip and so on and so on. So of course there is the intentions behind of the speech. Okay, so there is the goals. Ada tujuan tertentu. Kenapa yang dipilih kok speechnya di university, selalu di university. Ya seringnya tidak di SMP or tidak SMA. So this kind of the political traits. Okay. So setiap presiden pasti melakukan seperti ini juga. Dia akan melakukan speeches di university. But then talking about the relationship between US and China, itu kan selalu tidak rukun gitu ya. Nah ini W. Bush kok tiba-tiba ingin speech di depan mahasiswa China gitu, right? Okay, we can continue. Who's next? Who's next? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. Dari Saada? Dari Saada? Dari Saada? Oke, nggak ada ya. Riani?
Okay. For Political
Yang saya panggil nggak ada, saya hapus.
Yes, sir.
Keluarkan, betul. Riani.
Can you? Yeah. My voice? May I try to read?
Yes, Riani.
Okay. Okay, this study is framed with the theory of political discourse analysis. For Chilton and Sefner, 1997, what is political is a matter of interpretation, and one focus of attention in PDA has been a critical reflection on the strategic use of political concepts, or keywords for achieving specific political aims. According to Wilson, 2001, linguistic options for representing the word are clearly then central issues in political discourse. Utterance within the context of political output are rarely isolated grammatical cases. P404. Wilson used Sir Patrick Mayhew, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, remarks on BBC television as an example and demonstrates the influence of semantic choices. When Mayhew made a speech in the House of Commons, he made the following claims. First, we didn't talk the IRA, we had channels of communication or contacts. Two, we didn't authorize anyone to talk with the IRA.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Riani. I do appreciate it. Bagus ya bacanya. Political Discourse Analysis, or PDA, ya disebutnya PDA. The study is framed with the theory of political discourse analysis. Jadi PDA itu adalah suatu ilmu bahasa yang dikaitkan dengan ilmu politik, ya. Ilmu bahasa yang dikaitkan dengan ilmu politik itu namanya political discourse analysis. Jadi kita bisa menilai ya bahasa kampanye, kemudian bahasa pidato politik, bahasa pidato gubernur dan seterusnya dalam kerangka apa political discourse analysis. Kita bisa menganalisis itu. So PDA, what is political is a matter of interpretation, and one focus of attention in PDA has been the critical reflection on the strategic use of political concept or keywords for achieving specific political aims. According to Wilson itu the authors, 21 linguistic option for representing the word clearly then central issues in political discourse, namanya political discourse. Utterances with the context of political output are rarely isolated grammatical cases. Wilson used Patrick Matthews as the demonstrative of influence semantic choices when Mayhew made a speech in the House of Commons. He made the following claims. Satu, we did not talk to the IRA, something like MPR. We had a channels of communication context. We did not authorize anyone to talk with the IRA. So, of course, the politicians, when they do speech, or when they do campaign, okay, they will consider about the semantics of semantic devices. Alright, they will really consider about the language that they are going to produce. Itu namanya adalah PDA, political discourse analysis, or political discourse. Okay, nah politisi-politisi yang paham tentang discourse, ya dia akan bisa lebih berperan, lebih mengambil hati rakyat, lebih bisa menyampaikan pesan ya kepada rakyat, kepada peoples, kepada masyarakat. But then leaders atau politicians yang dia tidak paham dengan bahasa, ya cenderung dia akan tidak disukai oleh konstituennya. Kenapa? Karena bahasanya kasar, bahasanya tidak berpihak dan lain-lain. Nah, that is the importance of political discourse analysis. Kaki gunting. Okay, next. Gian Satya.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Terrorism. Similarly, and Schaffner, 1997, offered the level of linguistic analysis of text and thought that can be used to analyze the speaker's strategy function, pragmatics, semantics, and syntax. Even when a segment of talk or text is monologic, it usually involves implicit dialogue or conversation, reflecting operational discourse in the surrounding political culture. Chilton and Schaffner, 1997, PDA helped to make conscious consideration of the relationship between the speaker and other established during the actual utterance of the text. Essentially, PDA also requires the balance between linguistic analysis and political analysis. In other words, PDA looks at what specific linguistic choices have been made in what social and political terms and cause what political effect. As Kefner, 1996, concludes, in political discourse, political speech analysis can be successful when it relates the details of linguistic behaviors to political behaviors. Page 202.
Okay, thank you, Gian. Very nice. So now we are talking about the theories. Similarly, Chilton and Sefner's 1997 over three levels of linguistic analysis. So there are three linguistic analysis of the text and talk that can be used to analyze physical strategic functions. Namanya apa? Kita bisa menggunakan pragmatics, kita bisa menggunakan semantics, dan kita bisa menggunakan syntax. Itu adalah speaker strategic functions. Even when a segment of the talks or text is monologic is usually involved implicit dialogic organization reflecting conversational discourses in the surrounding of political cultures. So monologic, something like pidato, that is the monologics. Okay. PDA helps to make concise considerations of the relationship between the speaker and the other established during the actual utterance of the text. Essentially, PDA also requires the balance between linguistic analysis and political analysis. Nah, PDA, political discourse analysis, itu requires menyeimbangkan, alright, mengestablish yang namanya apa? Yang namanya hubungan antara speaker dan readers atau speakers and audience, okay, dalam kerangka linguistic analysis and political analysis. Ada dua. In other words, PDA looks at this with what the specific linguistic choices have been made in what social and political terms and cause what political effects. Sefner's 1996 concludes in political discourse pada wacana politik. Political speech analysis can be successfully when it relates the detail of linguistic behaviors to the political behaviors. Jadi apa yang disampaikan dalam speech politik itu akan berdampak pada behaviors politik gitu. Alright, berdampak politik gitu. Misalkan Menteri Nadiem Makarim mengatakan kurikulum merdeka belajar misalkan, alright. So in this merdeka belajar mahasiswa boleh memilih apapun. Pada konteks political discourse, maka akan behavior discourse-nya apa? Ya, maka kebijakan yang sudah disampaikan meskipun dia secara lisan akan dilaksanakan secara nasional. Gitu. Next theories. Putu udah ya? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Dwi Widi. Ya, Dwi Widi. Theories.
Man in 1980 that the functions of political discourse is to present proposals concerning actions and politicize that should or must be pursued, as well as what future realities must be prevented and what future realities are desirable. Agreeing with Edelman and Meyer in 2005, posits a key ideological component of political discourse, that is, its construction and representation of future realities, and the rhetorical function those representations serve practices and actions.
Okay, thank you. Edelman 1988 also notes that the function of political discourse is to present proposals concerning action and policies that ought, should, or must be pursued, as well as what future realities must be prevented and what future realities are desirables. Agreeing with Edelman's, namanya Denmeyer, 25 posits a key ideological component of political discourse, that is, its construction and representation of the future realities and theoretical functions. Those representations serve in implicating more immediate material and discourses, practice, and action. So Edmonds and Denmers are mentioning about bahwa fungsi dari political discourse itu ya sangat berperan, right? Sangat berperan pada apa? Including in giving the proposals to the governments, right? Including to giving the opinions, the ideologies of the policies. Maka kebijakan-kebijakan itu disampaikan secara politis. Nah, penyampaian kebijakan itu menggunakan discourse. Alright, itulah pentingnya discourse. Okay, next. Next. Amin Irna.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Theory CDA. CDA as fair code and the N96 claim is a perspective which is concerned with showing up often opaque connection between language and other aspects of society and culture. In addition, Van Dijk, 1993, suggests examining the style, rhetoric, or meaning of text for strategies that aim at the concealment of social power relations and the exercise of power, in order to obtain certain ideologies that the group with power want to construct. The circumstance of the construction, such as who, when, where, and how, and a deep analysis of the texts themselves cannot be ignored. As CDA suggests, Van Dijk 1993, therefore, in this study, besides unraveling the implicit meaning of base speech, I include CDA to explore how and why President Bush and Bush administration hold a dominant status of the USA in the global political relation.
Okay, thank you. Theories of CDA. Tadi ada PDA, ada DA, dan sekarang ada CDA. Isinya pasti Critical Discourse Analysis. CDS Kirchhoff itu adalah the writers and the authors of the CDA. Claim is a perspective which is concerned with the showing up of an opaque connection between language and other aspect. Nah, CDA itu adalah language and other aspect, ya. Ada aspeknya apa? Banyak hal, bisa konteks, bisa culture, okay, banyak hal, bisa background, bisa society, right? Ada context of the society and culture, benar kan? In addition, Van Dijk itu juga penemu dari CDA, suggest examining the style, rhetoric, and meaning of the text for strategies that aim at the concealment of the social power relationship and the exercise of power in order to obtain certain ideologies that the group with power wants to construct the circumstances of the text construction, such as who, when, where, and how. Jadi teks itu tergantung siapa yang mengatakan, kapan, di mana, dan bagaimana. And the deep analysis of the text themselves cannot be ignored. As CDA suggests dari Van Dijk, therefore, in the study, besides unrevealing the implication of the meaning Bush speech, I conclude CDA to explore how and why President Bush and Bush administration hold a dominant status of the US and the global political relations. Sekarang negara mana yang bisa menolak W. Bush, ya? Terus kampus mana yang bisa menolak W. Bush gitu? Itu yang namanya a dominant status. Okay. Next. Kuliatul.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Forwarded that's all 1999 strategy to recruit harass thinking is mainly identified as term of planet social activities and the pursuit or social, psychological, aim or function of these activities and realistic means designation to help realize this aim. In order to understand the construction of national identity in discourse, Duke et al. 1998 examines the different types of market strategies emerged in the discourse format from their data.
Okay, thank you. Rhetorical strategy. Namanya rhetorical strategies. Strategi retorika. Wodak et al. 1999 strategi itu didesain untuk to guide heroes thinking in many identified in the terms of plan, social activities, in the political or social psychological aims, or function of these activities and linguistic means designated to help realize them aims in order to understand the construction of the national identity in discourse. Examine the different type of macro strategies employed the discursive formation from their data. Disebut juga sebagai critical survey and pair study. So rhetorical strategy something like bagaimana kita menggunakan strategi retorika dalam berkomunikasi, strategi retorika dalam mempengaruhi orang, right? Sales itu juga dia menggunakan rhetorical strategy, gitu loh. Jadi banyak dari kita yang menggunakan rhetorical strategy, but we do not realize kalau kita menggunakan rhetorical strategy. And then the present context, as a part of President Bush's scheduled visit to China, 22, he gave his speech at Tsinghua University after Chinese Vice President Hu made an opening speech. Jadi Presiden Hu opening speech dulu, kemudian diikuti oleh Bush speech. Who expressed his good wishes. I hope young people in the two countries will increase exchanges, enhance friendship, learn from each other, and work together to promote peace, progress, and development of the world. Kalau kita melihat dari Hu, ya dari wakil presidennya menyampaikan bahwa young people itu harus saling, gitu, right? Two countries harus saling enhance relationship, meningkatkan persahabatan, harus saling belajar, alright? Harus saling mempromosikan peace, kedamaian, harus saling mengembangkan. Kenapa kata saling? Ya, wakil presiden Hu menggunakan kata saling bahwa China itu tidak di bawahnya US, gitu loh. Jadi kalau sebenarnya kita studi banding, sebetulnya kita itu saling belajar, bukan kita belajar dari dia. You get my point? Kalau you belajar kelompok, it means that you itu saling belajar. You memberikan sesuatu yang something new, temanmu juga memberikan yang something new, gitu, saling, gitu. Bukan dalam konteks ini bukan orang Cina yang belajar dari Bush, gitu, tapi Bush juga harus belajar dari Cina. Gitu. Nah, and then identifying the context can help readers and hearers understand coherent relations across utterances. Schifrin, 1994, the interaction between the text and context implies a procedure of combining linguistic meaning with context to derive inference about the message. Therefore, understanding political and economic relationship between China and the US around 22 is important for the study in order to accurately interpret Bush speech at Tsinghua University. Pada tahun 2002, alright, ada gejolak perang dagang, right, antara US dan China. Nah, diharapkan dengan adanya ini tuh tidak menguntungkan satu sama lain, tetapi saling bekerja satu sama lain. Gitu. Okay. And what about the data and thematic analysisnya? The data collection for the study are transcribed President Bush at Tsinghua University on February 22, 22, the speech is found on the official website of the White House. Jadi kalau you interested dengan speech, maka datanya adalah data seperti ini. Oke, datanya adalah data seperti ini. The meeting with the students last 41 minutes 26 seconds. Jadi selama 50 menit 26 detik. However, because this study only focus on the Bush speech analysis, I excluded the section of questions where request and response, reviews or accepted interaction between Bush and Chinese student after the speech. Jadi kita nanti tahu apa yang dimaksud Bush dalam speech tadi. So, although President Bush speech given at Tsinghua University, his straightforward political goals were not explicitly stated. In Bush speech, two main themes stand out. One is the construction of the Americanisms. The other is indirect critics of the China's current societal situation and direct instruction on what should be changed. Jadi ada perselisihan, ada hubungan yang kurang baik, kemudian disampaikan. So it is the speech, ya. Kita akan mengetahui speechnya. We are going to know. So we are going to know the speech of this Bush president. All right. So I'm giving you some examples of the speech. There are 4 paragraphs of the speech. Okay. First, our movies and television shows often do not portray the value of the real American I know. Nah, dari ini kita tahu ya. Ini Bush menyampaikan seperti ini. Our successful businesses show the strengths of the American commerce, but our spirit and contribution to each other are not always visible as monetary success. Some erroneous pictures of the America are painted by others, and while the word may be leftovers from the previous era, they are misleading and they are harmful. Jadi konteks ini diartikan seperti ini. In this excerpt, excerpt means pada konteks ini, pada teks ini, Bush uses parallel sentences structures to attract audiences, menarik perhatian audiences, attends to what American values. Dia ingin menyampaikan American values-nya ini tidak semata-mata bisnis gitu. Jadi apa yang disampaikan oleh berita itu tidak selamanya benar tentang kejelekan Amerika. Dia ingin ngomong gitu. So he implies that the information about Americans that Chinese audiences see on TV is not correct. Betul kan? Is not correct. Bahwa orang Amerika itu benci orang China itu is not correct. Gitu. Okay, Bush adopt the defensive strategy, which is a subgroup strategy and strategy of the perpetuations. He negates the image Americans and American values delivers by an American mass media. To sum up, Bush uses the parallel structures persuasive strategy to convince audiences that all bad image and values on TV or movies are not the real image. So by this actually, by this Bush speech, actually we can analyze that this can also is not always as the true that image delivered by the televisions or the movies, right? So Bush wants to convey that jangan percaya apa yang disampaikan oleh TV, semua itu nggak benar. Jangan percaya yang disampaikan oleh berita, nggak semuanya itu benar. That is actually the point. Okay, and then again, President Bush also used parallelisms as constructive strategy to depict the idealized country and to preach American values of the equality. Nah, American values itu quality, freedom, and liberty. That is the American values. Alright, American values. Kemudian second excerpt, Bush menyatakan lagi, no matter your background or your circumstances of the birth, in America you can get a good education, you can start your own business, you can raise a family, you can worship freely, help elect the leaders of your community and your country, you can support the policies of our governments, or you are free to openly disagree with them. Enak ya tinggal di Amerika ya. So apapun dilahirkan kamu, right? Mau kamu orang Asia, mau India, mau apa? Kalau you di Amerika, you akan dapat good education. Kalau you di Amerika, you free, bebas, right? Untuk melakukan bisnis, okay? Untuk mengomentari pemerintah atas kebijakan dan lain-lain. Nah, artinya yang di sebelah sini, yang sebelah kanan. On the other hand, as cited by Flowers 2, the technique of using series of nouns and verb is described as being, kita menganalisis secara bahasa ya, as being highly persuasive and replicating a sense of emotional, intellectual, and sensory pressures to the audience. In other excerpts below, Bush once again emphasizes the central themes. Central theme-nya apa yang ingin sampaikan Bush ini loh, values, American values. Right? So what is the American values? American values-nya adalah equality, ya, persamaan, kebebasan, and liberty. Okay, freedom, faith, and liberty. Nah, you kalau ingin tertarik di Amerika boleh tuh. Jadi sebenarnya di sana nggak ada kesenjangan. Kalau orang Muslim kemudian dinakali atau juga nggak ada gitu. Kalau orang Indonesia nggak ada juga, right? Ini yang ingin Bush sampaikan gitu loh, terkait realitanya bagaimana. Again, pada speech-nya Bush yang ketiga, we are a free nation, we are a nation of laws, no one is above the laws. Jadi dia sangat menjunjung tinggi suatu hukum ya. Okay. And no one is beneath. Hukum itu di atas segalanya. America is nation guided by the faith. Okay. In addition to parallelism paralel dari beberapa speech-nya, ya, Bush skillfully adapt strategies of unifications and cohesification. Unification and cohesification ada penggabungan konteks tuh. Dia cerdas tuh. By using the first pronouns we. Nah, ya kan? Kata we itu sangat besar pengaruhnya. Sama halnya ketika pidato kampanyenya Pak Jokowi, ya, Pak Jokowi menggunakan kita bisa, kita itu siapa semua gitu. Pada saat itu Pak Prabowo menggunakan kata saya, kata kami. Kami itu sekelompok, saya itu satu orang gitu. Alright. Nah itu kekuatan we itu adalah dia mengandung apa? Unification and cohesifications gitu. Menggunakan kata we. Ketika kita menggunakan kata kita, we, semuanya dilibatkan. Gitu, pinter ya. Nah kemudian pada speech paragraf yang keempat, our liberty is given directions.
Sir,
And
sir,
yes,
the slide doesn't move.
already move.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 4. Our liberty is given directions and proposed by moral characters shaped in strong families, strong communities, and strong religious institutions, and overseen by the strong and fair legal system. Freedom of religion is not something to be fair. Nah ini disampaikan lagi, alright. Liberty itu apa sih? Ya, strong families, okay, strong communities, strong religious institutions, silakan, bla 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 bla. Kebebasan untuk beragama, nggak usah takut dan sebagainya gitu, right? So Aristoteles define antithesis and verbal structures that places constructed or opposed terms parallel or balance, right? Collaborations and opposite are most knowable and more knowable when put beside the others. They found the content of the construction words and precision the emphasis of the idea. So the idea is what? The idea is again the liberty. Jadi sebetulnya what is that? Bush ingin menyampaikan American values secara detail satu persatu. Alright. Tadi disampaikan secara satu persatu. Okay. Tadi disampaikan freedom. Okay. Tadi disampaikan equality, persamaan. Nggak ada kamu lahir dimanapun terserah. Kalau tinggal di Amerika, you akan dapatkan good education. Okay. Kemudian equality, kemudian freedom, bebas, you boleh mengomentari kebijakan pemerintah, you boleh berbisnis apapun, kemudian liberty, you boleh beragama apapun dan seterusnya. Alright, so that is the actually what is Bush want to say. So what is the discussion and the conclusion? The discussion is berdasarkan teorinya Schaffner's, right? Politicians do not deliver speeches as individuals. Nggak pernah yang namanya politisi itu dia menyampaikan pendapat pribadi sebetulnya. Seorang politisi ya. Ini seorang politisi ya. Oke. Contoh misalkan ya, siapa? Megawati. Megawati selalu menyampaikan, Ibu Megawati tidak menyampaikan secara pribadi. Dia selalu menyampaikan atas nama partai. Oke. SBY tidak pernah menyampaikan secara pribadi. Pendapatnya pribadi itu menjadi pendapat partai. Oke. Prabowo pendapat pribadi itu menyampaikan pendapat partai. Pak Rektor kita pendapat pribadi itu menyampaikan pendapat institusi. Menteri itu juga menyampaikan pendapat institusi. Jadi mereka dibatasi oleh pendapat-pendapat tertentu karena mereka memiliki background institution yang harus mereka kawal. Gitu. Kalau kita, ya kita bisa jadi menyampaikan pendapat, menyampaikan opini berdasarkan saya dosen UGRIS gitu. Alright, berdasarkan institusi. Kamu juga begitu berdasarkan itu masuk UGRIS gitu. Alright, nah seperti itu. But rather as representative political parties, governments, or nations. Then points of the views from Bush speech given at the Tsinghua University represent Bush administration and standpoint. Through the speech, Bush and his administration purposes are more than trying to influence Chinese audience and their knowledge about the faith, freedom, and equality. Kenapa sih yang disasar adalah mahasiswa? Karena mahasiswa itu kaum intelektual. Karena mahasiswa itu promo yang murah gitu. Alright. Tulisan-tulisan mahasiswanya itu akan didengar oleh masyarakat umum. Kalau mahasiswa percaya tuh masyarakat percaya. Masyarakat umum lebih percaya dengan mahasiswa melakukan apa, kemudian dia percaya gitu. Nah, about the faith, ya, about the equality. Lalu Bush menyampaikan tentang persamaan derajat, persamaan hak, freedom, kebebasan berusaha, kebebasan berwirausaha, kebebasan berbisnis, and equality, alright. And liberty, ya, kebebasan beragama, kebebasan berkumpul, berserikat, dan seterusnya. That is yang disampaikan oleh Bush di sana. And the point is, the study investigates how the meaning, use of the particular expression are constructed within the certain political discourse. As suggested, the study using different linguistic features of fact interpretation to other contextual factors play an even more important role in understanding meaning. Recognizing linguistic and rhetorical strategies Bush used in the speech, we can disclose how Bush discursively construct Americanism and ideologies of Chinese features. Jadi sebetulnya ini Bush itu apa ya? Bush itu menanamkan ideologi, right, kepada orang-orang muda Cina bahwa jangan perangi Amerika, gitulah kasarnya, bahwa kita bersahabat, gitu. Bahwa apa yang disampaikan oleh TV itu nggak benar dan seterusnya. Nah, ini penting. His skillful allows his audience to convey and interpret the communicative content and what is said and what is implied. Meanwhile, Bush construct the power relationship between US and China. Dengan begitu, sebetulnya Bush sedang membangun hubungan yang baik ya antara US dan China. Keren ini ya. Perdamaian, damai itu, damai itu bisa diawali dari perkataan. You bertengkar dengan temanmu, you bertengkar dengan pacarmu, you bertengkar dengan orang tuamu, itu bisa karena perkataan gitu loh. Alright. Bisa karena dari linguistic features-nya kita yang kita keluarkan gitu. Alright, dari rhetorical features-nya kita yang kita keluarkan gitu kan. Tapi orang bisa menjadi damai karena rhetorical features-nya, rhetorical strateginya. Alright, karena linguistic features-nya itu menjadi damai. Gitu. Alright. Nah. Ya, begitulah. Maka I love DA, I love discourse analysis. Okay, is there any more questions? Ada pertanyaan? No? Anissa?
No, sir.
Okay, no. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ini sudah saya rekam, so I can detect siapa yang ada dan siapa yang tidak ada. See you again. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, sir.